Hello, welcome to Reporters here on France 24. I'm Rochelle Harrison-Pless. Thanks for joining us. This week, Israel marks 70 years since its founding. The country is often seen through the lens of the Middle East conflict. Beyond the bloodshed, our team takes us to 5 different places in Israel to give us 5 very different snapshots of what life is like. From the agricultural desert region of the Arava, where ancient traditions of working the land are preserved, to the disputed holy city of Jerusalem and the thriving startup hub of Tel Aviv. Well, I'm joined now by one of the authors of this report, Antoine Mariotti. Antoine, thanks very much for joining us. We can't forget the deadly violence that's been ongoing at the Gaza border for over 6 weeks now. So why are you showing us this side to Israel?
Hi,
Rochelle. You know, as a correspondent here, the majority of our time is spent covering the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We saw in recent days that there were dozens of deaths in Gaza, life under occupation in the West Bank just next door, and colonization in this country. Israel isn't only about that, yet we seem to talk about nothing else. Israel is also an extremely young country. There are very few states in the world as young as Israel. So for the 70th anniversary of the founding of Israel, we wanted to try show a different side. So we went to 5 different places to show 5 different realities to better understand this country.
OK, stay with us, Antoine. Let's take a look now at your report.
The Arava in Israel's Negev desert. There isn't a soul around for miles. From the start, Israel's been committed to making the desert bloom. And that means agriculture here, despite the lack of water.
Hi, Antoine.
Hi.
Welcome to the Arava.
Thank you very much.
Every farm has a daily amount of water that the farmer can use. And according to that, you need to do and to decide what crops he's going to grow.
So how do you limit water without impacting output? Figuring that out is the focus at this local research and development centre.
My own research is learning what to do with the water that comes from fish production, because fish add a lot of nutrients to the water from the food that they don't eat. And that's in the next room.
Yes, he means fish waste. It enriches the water and allows spirulina and other plants to grow.
So these plants are 100% processed fish food, which doesn't sound very appealing, but it's excellent basil. My wife makes pesto from it.
Eggplant, peppers, melons, they grow lots here in the desert and exported around the world. But competition from new international producers has reduced Israeli market share. So the government has set up 8 research centres to help farmers adapt.
Now the agriculture or the farmers in the Arava or in Israel in general are on a crossroad trying to figure out how to continue. There's not a lot of work alternatives here in this region.
The values of the pioneer generation, especially hard work, seem to have taken root.
We're trying to make the best out of it and grow and keep the border here by cultivating the land and not by building a fence.
We're heading 200 kilometres north to Jerusalem. It's hot here too, and it's not just the climate. Jerusalem's the epicentre of political tension and holy to the 3 great religions. Jews and Muslims must live together here, but so must Jews and Jews. Religious and secular Jews coexist here without much crossover.
Yes?
The children study and live apart. But there's a radical project to change that just by putting them together on a football field. It's organised by a group called TSORAN.
From now on, the team that will cheer 5 times, either your team members or the opposing team, will get a penalty shot. TSORAN is a non-profit organization that was created after the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin. Its main purpose was to reconcile religious and secular Jews.
The group organises summer camps and has started joint schools, where secular and religious pupils attend classes together. It also has partnerships with more than 100 football clubs across Israel, including this Jerusalem club, known for issues with racist supporters.
The BEITAR Yerushalayim club does not have a very good reputation, so our goal here is to make people learn to accept the other, to accept differences. We see a change. Children are beginning to understand.
Friday evening marks the start of the Jewish Sabbath. It's a rest day. Almost no activity is permitted. But it's also the day when the football matches are held.
The secular play on Shabbat. The religious want to play but cannot. So that creates a clash.
Israel remains a young country where Jews from all over the world have brought their habits, ways of life and religious practices. A country where they're still learning to live together. Less than an hour away, a different atmosphere. Tel Aviv doesn't live to the rhythm of religion or conflict. Young people from all over Europe come here to swim and party. Some of Tel Aviv sleeps late, often nursing a hangover. The rest are up early, rushing to their jobs in high-tech.
Hi there, welcome to Tel Aviv. Here you get to see where things are really happening.
After the incubators, there are now the accelerators, programs that welcome, support and fund promising startups.
For all those reasons, the beach, the party, the young environment, the weather, and the hectic city that it became attracts the talent to be in the heart of Tel Aviv. They want to sit here, learn here, work here, paddle to work.
BARCLAYS holds 3-month programs for selected startups.
Hi guys, מה קורה? איך הולך?
Some, like Celerio, a corporate finance startup, stay on, renting an office in the shared workspace. CEO Yair Levy believes he could have grown his business in another country, but says that Israel has one major advantage.
Let's say we have an issue or we are trying to get to someone. So in Israel, we could just pick up the phone. In other countries, it would be probably more formal process, and you would have to wait a little bit more between each degree of separation.
The road traffic app Waze was created in Israel. So was Mobileye, the car safety system. More than 6,000 new tech, science and business ventures have turned this country of just 8 million into the startup nation.
There is a can-do approach. We can do everything, we can win everything, we can conquer everything that we want.
But it's not just innovation. In a small place like Israel, you only need to travel a short distance to discover a different universe. "80 kilometres north of Tel Aviv, the city that never sleeps gives way to a small Arab town that feels forgotten.
Bonjour, Geneviève.
We're already starting to see a difference. For example, here you see that there's a sidewalk that goes inside Beit Hanania, and when you cross the road, you can't see a footpath. There is no more sidewalk here to get to Jizara Zarqa.
Geneviève migrated to Israel from France. She works for a local guest house, which also runs social programs. Geneviève meets Jafar Farah, director of the Masawa Center, which fights for the rights of Arab Israelis. Although they make up 20% of the population, he claims the state has abandoned them.
The case of the Arab community, it's systematic discrimination and racism. The funding that the government is allocating to Arab villages and cities created a huge gap in the services, in the educational services.
We try to live on our own without being influenced by what is happening with our neighbors. And we make a big effort just to exist by ourselves.
Not all Arab towns are as poor as Jisr al-Zarqa, but 50% of Arab Israelis live below the poverty line.
You know, like after 70 years, finally, they start to build finally early childhood center. 97% of the Arab kids don't have early childhood center.
Jisr al-Zarqa is the only coastal town populated solely by Arabs that has remained since the 1948 war. Many others were emptied of their inhabitants or even destroyed. That was also the case here, in the far north of the country. This kibbutz was built in 1949 on the ruins of a Palestinian village emptied of its population.
Hi. Hello, I'm Yoni.
Yoni TSORAN is the general manager of kibbutz SASA. While most of the country's 300 kibbutzim have now been privatized, SASA remains old school.
SASA is a classic kibbutz, which means it still holds all the characteristics of a cooperative kibbutz.
All members who do paid work hand their wages over to the kibbutz.
We expect you to bring as much as you can. You get as much as you need, but in a renewed kibbutz, this is one of the reasons that they change the way of life, because usually one wants to feel that if he gives more, he gets more.
While the kibbutz members await a possible change, they have almost no bills to pay and participate in the life of the community. Raoul Cohen was the previous general manager here. Tonight, although he's officially retired, he's the one serving dinner.
For us, it's perfectly normal. That's how it is. Here, you see, everyone's come for dinner. They were at home, and I serve them. Next week, it'll be someone else.
This is one of the few kibbutzim that still function in the old style, including a common dining room. Raoul Cohen wants to believe that the pendulum could swing back.
Even the kibbutzim, who changed their way of life, they try to return to the dining room, to celebrate the holidays together. But it does take time.
SASA exists almost in its own bubble, except that it's just a few hundred metres to the Lebanese border, and the threat of conflict still looms large.
Well, a war with Lebanon is always in the mind of people here. Whoever lives in these areas have in mind that it will probably happen one day or another. You put it in the back of your head, because otherwise you won't live here.
Even if the socialist kibbutz is no longer in vogue, SASA remains populated by idealists, committed to this community and this lifestyle.
Our reporter Antoine Mariotti is still with us. Antoine, your report shows us that the country is one of diversity, but whether you're Jewish, Muslim or Christian, the conflict touches everyone. It's never far away.
Yes, we made the decision to show Israel without mentioning the different conflicts, but in the end it came back to us like a boomerang. We see this in Arava with Mayan, who works in the Agricultural Research and Development Center. He told us that they're trying to cultivate the land in order to protect their borders, not by putting up a protective barrier like there is between Israel and the West Bank. And when we go north to the kibbutz to meet its Secretary General Yoni, he tells us that they are 200 or 300 meters from the Lebanese border, and everyone who lives there in the back of their minds believe that it could blow up at any moment. They were evacuated 10 years ago during the war with Lebanon, and it could happen again. We know things are tense with Lebanon and with nearby Syria, so it's something that's always on their mind, even though in Tel Aviv, most of the time, people don't think about the conflict at all.
Antoine, the project that Israel initiated in the beginning, that of the kibbutz, where is that today?
For the first 30 years of Israel's existence, the left reigned supreme. Yet today we have the most right-wing government in the country's history, and we have a left wing which is stagnating. Just going back to the kibbutz we saw in the report, there are still 300 of them in Israel, but about 260 are privatized. They're kibbutzes in name only. For example, they don't even have a communal dining hall, like we saw with Raoul in the report. But there are still a few fervent believers in some 10 or so kibbutzes. We met a Frenchman, Shmuel, in SASA. He was 19 when he left Saint-Germain-des-Prés in Paris to join the kibbutz during the Yom Kippur War. Take a listen to why he chose to stay.
Since the majority of the members of the kibbutz, both women and men, are mobilized at the front during this period, there are very few people. October is the apple harvesting period. In the morning, we pick the apples. The afternoon, we package them to put them on the market. And at night, we have to milk the cows. And when I first came here as a high school student from Paris, coming here and working so hard, knowing that it was very helpful, I told myself, okay, I am worth something. And since then, I've internalized that it's only here that I'm worth something.
So there you go. They told us that they want more peace in the kibbutz, which is far from the race for money and individualism. These people still want to live by Israel's founding ideals.
OK, Antoine, Mariotti, thank you so much for your report and your insight today. Remember, if you want to catch up with reporters online, do head to our website, France24.com. Stay with us, lots more news coming up.